Okay, folks, I'm back again. This is Felons Talk with another episode. I want to start out giving a shout out to King Kong uh, for a some money that he sent me. Thank you very much, King Kong. I forgot to mention you the other day when I got it. I really appreciate that. Anyway, uh, I have some interesting stuff coming up, and yeah, this is going to be interesting for those of you out there who are history buffs and who, you know, AB history, Iron Brotherhood history buffs. A lot of people out there, I noticed the viewers are interested in that and who, have a lot of knowledge about it over the years. Anyway, I came up with two sources of information which uh, corroborated each other, and I'll be doing a show about this within the next couple of days. And first of all, I just want to I want to make sure my all my ducks are lined up before I do it because it's a really interesting you know situation. And like I say, for those of you who are buffs of the you know the history of the AB, you're going to want to be here and see this. Uh, anyway, I was contacted by a couple of people. Um, One of them is a guy named Bobby Castile. I vaguely remember Bobby from H Unit in Marion back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. I remember him because I believe he was up on Sea Range with Barry and all the fellas up there. And I didn't actually have any conversations with him at the time, but he's a viewer of this show and he's contacted me with some information which is being corroborated by other people. And that's what I'm going to be bringing up in a few days. Bobby got a murder case in Lompoc, and he was lucky enough to prove that it was like a self-defense, and you know uh, when he was sentencing him. So he ended up getting, I think, 10 years, and he was released, and he's never been back in prison ever again. And that's been over 40 years ago. So he's really made something of his life. He's got a great life, and I actually envy him a little bit because he's done so well. Uh, anyway, Bobby was a member in good standing of the Mexican Mafia and still is, although he's, I guess you would say, inactive at this point in his life. And he still has the honor and respect of being a man who is a member of the Emmy and who never rolled over and never turned on anybody and never testified. He was also a good friend of a guy named Buzz Miller. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of a story about Buzz right now. What I know. And Buzz Miller was a kid from California, very well liked, good personality, and he was very good at making tattoos. He put on a lot of good tattoos on a lot of the fellas. He was great. I believe he put all of Barry Mills ink. Most of it came from Buzz. And Buzz was like he was a member of that group, and he was well liked and well loved and supported, and you know, and there came a time when Barry Mills kept asking Buzz to put ink on different people. Hey, put something on this guy. Put something on that guy. hook up my boy over here. So he was getting all of his friends inked up. I mean, he was using Buzz to do it with. Okay. And Buzz wasn't getting paid, man. He just wasn't. He was just wasting his time, basically putting all this ink on people, and he wasn't getting anything for it. So he started to complain a little bit. All right. And Barry took that as disrespect, like, what are you talking about, man? Like, you should be glad to do this for me. You know what I mean? That's how Barry was. Anyway, he gave an order, Barry did, to all the fellas in Marion to not talk to Buzz at all. Put him on the silent treatment, put him on the dummy. Don't talk to that kid. He's no good with, not that he's a snitch or anything like that. At least not at this point, he wasn't anyway. But at that point, like, it's like, just, don't talk to him anymore. Like, now, for those of you out there who think, so what? So they don't talk to me anymore. So what? Why should I care about that? Oh, it's a big deal. If you're in Marion, right, and it's a racially charged environment, all right, and you're a white guy and you're supposed to be a member, if you're supposed to be with these guys and all of a sudden you're not, everybody notices that. Okay? It's not a good position to be in. It's a situation where it's just actually scary. It's a kind of a scary situation. And you'd have to be there to understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not good, man. You want your people talking to you. You want to be respected, and you want to be in the fold, so to speak, with the fellas. You definitely want that. You know, that's not a good position to have them snubbing you and giving you the cold shoulder. It's a dangerous, it's a physically dangerous situation. Let me put it that way, okay? And so you can appreciate what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to talk to you about something else here. Remember when everybody said that John Gotti was paying for protection? Yeah. Here's what really happened, and I'll just clarify it. And it was the same situation that Buzz Miller was in. Okay, Buzz was out of favor with Barry at that point. Now he came around. He started to. He did whatever he had to do to get back in good graces with Barry. And he was back, and they took him off the dummy status and let him, you know, back in, and so that he didn't have that discomfort of feeling threatened and shit anymore. That's really what it boiled down to. Okay, uh, so, but he in order to get there, he had to go back to being an ink slave, putting, I mean, he got a couple bags of chips and all this, but I mean, his work was worth much, much more. And I mean, people in prison, they don't get paid what people out here in the streets get paid for ink. Uh, but if you're really good, I mean, you can make a decent prison living doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So anyway, that's the story of Buzz. Well, the same thing happened when John Gotti fell out with Barry. John was like mad because my understanding of the whole situation, because I wasn't right there when it happened, but there were people that were there to talk to me about it. And they said that, John was kind of like pissed off because, he didn't get certain things that Barry promised him. I think one of the things was to get even with the guy who jumped him, the black guy who beat him up, which it was Gotti's fault anyway. Gotti was like an asshole, and the guy just beat the shit out of him. And they wanted to kill that guy, but they couldn't. And so, anyway, John took the attitude of, "Why am I spending all this money with you guys? He's giving away hundreds of thousands. He's really doing a lot of shit." He really was. And all of a sudden, he started to pull his purse strings in. So what happens? Barry put him on the dummy. Nobody talks to that guy. He's persona non grata, like this. All right, that's what happened. Same thing happened to Buzz Miller. And do you think he didn't feel that? You think the tough Don, uh, the Teflon Don, wasn't? Yeah, yeah. Trust me. Let me explain something. The mafia in the streets, they're tough in the streets. All right, they'll shoot you in the back of the head. They'll lure you into a trap and kill you if they want to. Or that's how they used to do things. Nowadays, it's not so much a big thing anymore. But you know, they were the mafia on the streets. Okay, they had the balls to take over shit and run shit through violence. Well, when they get to prison, especially a prison like Marion, they're not tough anymore. They're not used to. They might still have I'm not saying they don't have any balls, but they do. But they're not equipped to deal with the crazy people that are equally as violent, if not more violent than them. And I'm talking about on the one-to-one tip. Like you know. Anyway, you get the point, right? I mean, you know, Gotti he wasn't really that big. And he was, he's a tough guy, but you know, the black guy made him look bad. He really beat the snot out of him, really. And everybody's seen it. Everybody knew. So it was in a it was in a good position for Gotti to be in, not to have the backing of the AB and the fellas. When everybody just turned their back on him, yeah, he came around. Let me put it that way. Gotti came around. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I do something? That type of thing. You know what happens. Let's just keep it clean here. So he paid. He started paying again. Okay. It wasn't like he was originally paying protection. He was just being generous to his friends. His generosity dried up, and he felt like he should be getting more for his generosity. And that's when Barry drew the line and pushed the hard line on Gotti. And Gotti came right around and apologized, started kicking in again. That's what they called extortion, and it was extortion. Believe me, that's what extortion is. Extortion is when you're afraid and you don't feel safe, and you pay money to be able to feel safe again. That's what extortion is. That's the extortion that John Gotti felt when he was in Marion. And he left there in good standing, with the fellas and everything. But the rumor traveled that he had been paying protection, and it wasn't a lie. It was true. It was the same way for Buzz Miller. Now, Buzz ended up becoming a government witness, and I don't know exactly what that entails. Bobby Castile knows because he was a good friend of Bobby's, and I'm hoping that Bobby will tell us what that was. I mean, I could probably dig it up if I want to, but you know, um, I'm waiting to see if I can hear back from Bob. He's one of the viewers of this program, and to see what he has to say about why Buzz did that. And Buzz was on Blood on the Razor Wire about 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about a lot of things, and I really enjoyed that show. And you know, he was good friends with Buzz. He was really disappointed when Buzz became a government witness, and but I'm going to say this too. I'm gonna make this plain to you guys about anybody and everybody who has flipped and become a cooperator in all this stuff with the over the years, uh, starting with George Harp and all these guys. The thing that motivates these guys uh, is fear. Fear, 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 fear. Fear is what generates the paranoia, and having to live with that day in and day out, uh, uh, it wears on a person. It wears on them. And what their resolve might have been when they didn't have to deal with that fear changes. And that fear leads them to become informants. And you'll see about what I'm talking about over the next few days when I get my ducks lined up and I do a show presenting you guys with a lot of interesting evidence, which, for like I say, you historians, you're going to want to know what's going to happen here in the next couple of days. So this is kind of a short show. I'm only at like 16 minutes, but I really, I think the stuff that I've talked about on this platform right now is very important, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a couple of days when I come out with the dirt, as you would say. Okay, so I'll see you later. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Leave questions, comments, and send money if you want. You know. What was I going to say? That's about it, I guess. Yeah, we appreciate your watching, man. And if there's anybody that has a story, a good story they want out here, that is interesting and pertains to the stuff that we're talking about, or even anything else that might be interesting to the viewers, please contact me. I leave my email address in the description. All right. I'll see you guys soon.